Welcome back to another video about human-machine interface or HMIs. Have you ever wished you could have a simple HMI to interact with your PLC, but you don't have the time or maybe the budget to add a complete and complex HMI to your machine or system? Well, if you have one of these S7-1500 CPUs, you're in luck, because today we are taking a quick dive into the Siemens View of Things or VOT, which is a simple web-based HMI embedded to your PLC memory. Yes, that's right. You don't need any HMI panel or PC to take advantage of this feature. Your S7-1500 PLC alone can do the job. Now I know what you're thinking. Oh, another long, boring video about industrial automation and high-tech, but hold on to your hard hats, because this video is short, sweet, and packed with practical knowledge that you can apply to your day-to-day operation. So get ready to experience the power of Siemens VOT web-based HMI in this short video. Before jumping into the demo section or the hands-on section of the video, let's see what are the limitations of the VOT and what are the most important things to know about this feature of your S7-1500 CPU. So the most important thing is your CPU should have at least firmware version 2.9. Apparently it can be version 3 with the TI portal version 18 as well. So you will not see the view of thing your TI portal if your CPU has a firmware version lower than 2.9. That's the most important thing to know. And another important thing, I think it's good to know, you don't have to, but is that the view of the application will be stored in the SD card of your CPU, and that means the work memory of the CPU will not be allocated to process the view of the application, and hence your PLC program will not be slowed down. That's a great feature and great engineering by Siemens to kind of separate these two things, and because the main job of the PLC is processing and basically reading the logic and updating the output, reading the input, and so on. And another thing you need to know is you need at least a memory card with 8 megabyte capacity. You cannot use a 4 megabyte SD card for this purpose. If you want to have the view of thing, you should have a memory card bigger than 8 megabyte. And yes, and also if you want more additional information, you can definitely find on the Siemens website. And here, as you can see, I'm on the main page of the View of Thing on the Siemens website, and you can get great information from here. The first and most important thing is, as we mentioned in another video about the WinCC Unified, if you haven't checked that one, I'll put the link maybe somewhere up here. View of Thing is a part of the WinCC Unified system. WinCC Unified is a future of HMI by Siemens, and everything is going towards WinCC Unified. And another thing you need to know is View of Thing is basically program, or everything is done in TI portal. You don't need to learn a new tool to create this dashboard. You don't need to know anything about HTML, CSS, or JavaScript to implement this dashboard or have your HMI up and running. And of course, there are more information in the middle. As you see, the highlight of the advantages of VOT is it is a great service interface. The service crew can take advantage of this feature to create a simple dashboard for themselves and quickly connect to the PLC to read and write some information to the PLC maybe on their mobile device or on their laptop. You don't need to have a complete HMI system up and running for that one. And very, very important thing to know is in the middle of the page, as you can see on this table, there are several limitations on using the View of Thing compared to the complete WinCC Unified HMI platform or system. And the most important ones are the View of Things doesn't support faceplate. You cannot have faceplate in your HMI if you are using View of Things. And of course, you won't have access to some, HMI's features such as alarming or archiving, auditing and reporting, and other features which is basically specific to the WinCC Unified. For example, WinCC Unified Collaboration or PACO or Parameter Control. You will not have access to these features if you use the View of Things. And if you need those, you should consider going towards a complete HMI system such as WinCC Unified PC or Unified Comfort Panel. That's about it. If you need more information, of course, you can search the Siemens forum or read more document about it. But for sure, you can just let me know in the comment section if you have any question, and I'll be happy to answer that. Okay, without further ado, let's jump into the TIA portal, create a project from scratch, and also we'll go over a more advanced example or demo, and we'll see how the View of Things look like. Here in TIA portal, the software to configure and program the Siemens S7-1500, 1200, and other Siemens PLCs, as you may know. And activating the View of Things is very simple, and creating a program is much more simpler, in other words. So here I have the main screen of the TIA portal. I'm just going to create a new project. Let's call it View of Things. Select the folder and create the project. Once your project is created, you can just switch to the project view and add your PLC and hardware and start doing the rest of the configuration. So I just simply go over here and I click on add new device. I know I have a 1500 CPU. Because I don't know what is exactly the part number of my CPU, I just simply select unspecified CPU, and that's the art of TIA portal, and that's the engineering efficiency, because it lets you upload the information from your device if you don't know what is the part number and what is the serial number of your hardware. I just simply go here, select the detect, because then right now you see it's just a blank CPU. I want to see what CPU is connected to my programming device. Okay, as you see, it found my PLC. I know that my PLC IP address is 192.168.0.200, and I just hit the detect. And now the TIA portal is reading the hardware information of my CPU and automatically brings it to the TIA portal project. Okay, and the next step is assigning the IP address. Okay, it's already 200, that's what I know. Okay, so if you look at here, right now, because my CPU firmware is more than 2.9, I have this folder here which is called web application, and I can add a new View of Things application. But before doing that, we need to enable the web server of the CPU and do some very simple configuration. So the first thing you need to do is you just go to your web server and you activate your web server. And you can add a user. You have to do that because you need to log into your web dashboard or HMI. I just pick a simple password. And you need to define what kind of access this user has, because this is an admin. I just give access to everything. But for just using the View of Things, the minimum requirement is the tag access, because you want to interact with the PLC tags. Okay, and that's about the web server. The next thing I need to do, I need to go to the protection and the security. and I go to the certificate manager because I want to access the web dashboard of my HMI through the HTTPS and the secure connection. So what I do, I just right click on this certificate and I do the export. I save it somewhere on my desktop or my project folder. We need to install that certificate later on. And we just need to do a quick change here on the connection mechanism. Just change this one from, maybe we can just minimize this. Change this option from PLC 1 communication 1 to web server. Okay, that's pretty much it for the configuration. As you saw, it's very simple. You really don't need to do much of the programming or configuration, and the view of thing can be used right now. So I'm just going to add a new view of thing application. Once my application is created, maybe I'll just rename it to something else, such as VOT. And as you see here, it's very simple. You just have the HMI tags. You don't have any alarms, such as, you know, the other menus or options in the complete WinCC unified platform. Here you just have the screen, simple runtime setting, and HMI tags. So the first thing, as you see here, you need to have at least one screen. Let's just create a new screen, and once you go to your runtime setting, you can select your start screen if you have more than one screen, and you can just pick the resolution and the application cycle. Basically, this shows how often your application data will be updated and so on. Depends on the workload of your PLC and the memory card capacity. I would just suggest keep this 250 or maybe 500, but this can vary based on your application. And another thing to know is you can just have multi-language to your project. Here we just have the English. You can add French, German, and any other language as needed. And okay, the next step we need to do, let's just create one tag. In the PLC, let's call it maybe a slider, and I want that to be a real number. I'm going to use maybe M100, okay? That's just a test tag. Let's say it can be information from apparently from your sensors or the address of your output for your actuators and so on. Okay, so I'm just coming back on my screen, and what I'm going to do is adding a gauge with a slider and maybe a numeric display. Let's make it a bit more beautiful. Let's connect this one to the tag that we just created, the PLC tag. That's the art of TI portal, and that's the engineering efficiency. You can just drag and drop between different screen and application. So I just drag and drop my slider tag to my slider, and also to my gauge because I want to display that information, and to my numeric display as well. Okay, that's about it. So right now we have an application and we can just run it on the PLC itself. So a very important thing to know, you have to compile your view of thing application separately. So if you just compile your PLC, the view of thing application will not be compiled and run properly. Okay, now the program is ready to be downloaded to my CPU. Just simply select the CPU PLC program, hit the download. Okay, so once you activate your view of thing, you have to be careful on this option over here. Just come down. You have to select them manually. So I'll just hit the download. Okay, now the program is downloaded to your PLC. Let's just open a new web browser and look how our HMI looks like. Okay, just click the continue. Okay, so that's the username and password that you selected or assigned during the design of your project. We just simply enter our credentials. Okay, so as you see here, this is my web dashboard or my HMI, and it's connected to my PLC, it's hosted on my PLC, it's not running on my computer or my machine. And definitely you can just expand your design, you can add more data fields and so on, but it is recommended to keep the number of tags to maximum of 100 and also the number of screen to 10. You won't get any error if you compile it. If you go above these numbers, you just get a warning, but please keep in mind this is not a complete HMI solution, so keep it simple. Now that we saw how to configure it, and you can just add more functionality to your HMI based on the available tools on the toolbox over here. As you see here, you can even have the web control or web browser inside your HMI. You will have to have access to the basic objects and some elements, and of course you will have access to the dynamic SVGs which you can use in your HMI design. And now I'm going to show you another demo project which is available on the Siemens website. You can download and use it for learning purposes. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how the application looks like. So as you see here, again, I have a PLC and I have a View of Things application. I have several screens. This is more advanced, let's say, HMI using the View of Things. And on my overview page, as you see here, I have a tunnel application. So in this tunnel application, the tunnel consists of two parts, and we will see the CO2 level in the tunnels, and how much wind is in the tunnel, and what's the traffic, and so on. So let's just download this program in your CPU and see how it looks like. As I explained, this application or the demo from Siemens is a tunnel application. You have a section 1 and section 2, and you can see how nicely you can design a simple HMI hosted directly on your PLC without additional need to any PC or virtual machine to host your HMI. So as I explained, this is just a simulation. So the tunnel, you can monitor the tunnel temperature. You will have a siren or an alarm light for the temperature. For a high temperature, you want to have some sort of alarm. And the air supply for those jet fans, you can just animate them using a dynamic SVGs and CO2 values and wind speed and so on. So this demo has a simulation. So here, as you see, the number of vehicles per hour, you can just simulate it. Let's say increase that to 795, and based on that, the temperature, the tunnel temperature is calculated. And as you see, the air supply is on, the fan is on because the number of cars are above a threshold, and you can just define here the minimum and maximum and so on. And as you see here, the CO2, you can measure it over here, the wind speed, which is a meter per second and so on. And you can just go to the section 2, which is similar, and you can simulate that as well. But again, as you see, you can basically use the dynamic SVGs to visualize your process. And again, on the top, you see you can have a header or your menu. You can just switch between different languages, between English and Deutsch, and so on. Okay, that's about the demo section, and let's just do a quick summary and end this video. Okay, to summarize, if you have one of these S7-1500 CPUs, which has at least the firmware version of 2.9, it can be version 3 for sure, you can take advantage of a feature which is called View of Things or VOT. Using the VOT, you can create a very simple HMI or web dashboard for your PLC data to interact with your process or with your machine using your smartphone or with your laptop. without the need for any additional PC to host the HMI, because the HMI is hosted directly on the memory card of your CPU. This is very handy for, let's say, having a HMI for your maintenance team, as we mentioned. And you can just quickly connect your CPU on top of the web server of the CPU. You can interact, control the machine, turn it on and off, and read some data, and so on. But as we mentioned, this is not a complete HMI solution. But maybe in the future, the PLCs have a much more stronger CPUs or processors, and everything can be hosted on the same device or package, and we don't really need any another PC or VM. But for now, this is just a solution for very small application. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know what you think about this feature or VOT, and what do you think about the future of HMI and overall the human machine interface market. Okay, until the next time, have a great day.